Longer I serve him. It's my favorite song, that like a special that you sing. It's my favorite, so I get to pick what I want because that's how it is, when you're in charge. So we're going to sing this song for you, and then Faith, you'll come right up right after it, okay? Since I started for the kingdom, since my life he controls, since I gave my heart to Jesus, the longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The more that I love him, more love he bestows. Each day is like heaven, my heart overflows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. Every need he is supplying, plenteous grace he bestows. Every day my way gets brighter, the longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The more that I love him, more love he bestows. Each day is like heaven, my heart overflows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows. The longer I serve him, the sweeter he grows.
All right, thank you. Well, that was so wonderful, sitting out there chatting with all the ladies while eating food. I have found it doesn't matter where you go. If you're around Christian ladies, you have so much in common. Don't you? Have you found that? Just sit down and start talking with ladies. You have the biggest thing in common. You have the same father. That's a big deal. But I sat down next to this lady down here, and turned out she had gone to our church in Long Beach, California, back when it was a Brethren church, like over 45 years ago. So what are the odds there? We are from Long Beach, California. I mentioned that just a little bit yesterday. My husband and I and 4 kids, when we got married, we moved out to Long Beach as the youth pastor, and my husband served there for 10 years. And then he was looking at different churches to pastor when our pastor in Long Beach left and took over my husband's home church in Illinois. And then my husband became the pastor in Long Beach. It was such a strange thing. God is a master chess player. He can move around the pieces and work everything out, and we don't see 10 moves ahead. But it's been wonderful there. But Long Beach is certainly a different city. And we're driving around here, there's a lot of nature. You actually have fall, autumn, you have that. I looked out the window one day and I saw this guy spraying something on the dirt and weeds in Long Beach. And I thought maybe it was insecticide. No, he was spray painting green. Because there's all these water laws in California. You can't water your grass, so they just spray paint it all green. How is that good for us? How is that good for us? So that's what they're doing. We started a couple new ministries in our church recently. We have a homeless ministry. It's a huge need in LA County, and so we started that. But we also have a graffiti ministry. So we just go around town spray painting the name of our church on the highways. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what it is. But our church gets tagged pretty regular by different gangs, And so we have this team that comes out, and they have to report it, and they paint over it, because like the longer it stays, the more often they'll tag it. It's this whole thing. And I thought, well, what a unique ministry. I don't know a lot of churches that have a graffiti team. But we have had the batteries in our buses stolen. We went out to start our bus routes on Sunday morning, and all the batteries had been stolen. That's like a 5-man team right there. We had the bushes in front of our church stolen 3 times. In the middle of the night, someone came and thought, I could use these in my landscaping business, and just dug them up. And we replanted, 3 times. So now I think we have succulents in front of our church now, and nobody's stealing those. Just a very interesting place to live, really is. We live 5 houses from our church. God gave us a house, and it is a safe neighborhood, although we're about 1.5 miles from Compton, pretty famous city there. That's where we live. And in our city, there are fireworks all the time. If the Dodgers win, there are fireworks. If it's a random Tuesday, there are fireworks. It's just loud in the middle of the night, fireworks. We also have gunshots around where we live. We hear that a lot. So fireworks will go off, and my kids will get scared and say, Mom, what is that? Those are fireworks, honey. Then gunshots will go off and say, Mom, what is that? Those are fireworks, honey. Everything are fireworks, and everything is just fine. But I look at beautiful cities like this and different areas, and I think that would be so nice to live there. It really is. There's a mass exodus of everybody leaving California. They left leaving our church and everywhere else. But God has put us in California, in Long Beach, and we'll have relatives that'll come out and they'll say, who would live here? And I get you, I really do. But I can't imagine living anywhere else, because we are happy there, and I never feel in danger. I always feel safe because it's God's will. And I was taught that as a kid, that there's no happier place or there's no safer place than God's will. But I'm experiencing it. It's so true. So wherever God has put you, if it's in a little town or a little church or wherever it is, that's the place you're going to be happiest, if that's where God has put you. And what a wonderful thought that is. Let me ask you, have you ever been in a conversation and you weren't being understood? You know what I mean? Like you and someone are having this conversation, and you're like, I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying, and there's just a disconnect. So I was having a conversation with Eli about a year ago. And I told him, honey, it doesn't get very cold here in Long Beach, but I thought it would be nice to buy a duvet for our bed. You know what a duvet is? It's like a fluffy blanket. It's a fluffy comforter, right? And I just thought it would be really nice and cozy. But when I suggested this, he just looked, what? Why would we buy a duvet? And I said, well, they're very warm, and they come in lots of colors. And look, a lot of people online have these. It just really looks nice in your bedroom. And he said, I just don't understand. Like, where would you even buy one? And I said, hon, this is a more common thing than you realize. Like, they sell them at Target. Of course, we don't shop at Target, right? But, we could go buy them at Walmart as well. And he said, I just can't believe they sell them. And I said, babe, I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. And he said, well, where would we put the thing? And I said, well, when we're not using it, we'll just put it at the end of our bed. And that's when I realized I was not saying duvet. I was saying bidet. Bidet is a little French toilet that instead of using toilet paper, you kind of hose yourself off. Could have used it in the great toilet paper crisis of 2020, I'm sure. So I was telling him, lots of my friends have it, and it looks so pretty in the room, and when we're not using it, we'll just put it at the end of our bed. Sometimes there's a confusion there, right, when you're trying to communicate. My poor husband puts up with quite a lot from me. But I thank Mrs. Walker for inviting me. It's an honor to be here, and I don't want to come and cause trouble. But I'm going to have to say something very controversial, okay? Now, We have In-N-Out Burger in California. Honestly, it's the only thing good that is going on in California. It really is. And if it weren't for In-N-Out, I'd probably move to the south because I recently went to Buc-ee's. Yeah. Unbelievable. The cleanest bathrooms at any gas station. It was wonderful. Wonderful experience. But anyway, here's a controversial thing. The best French fries are at McDonald's. Okay? Heard some quacks say they like the waffle fries at Chick-fil-A. No. It's the McDonald's French fries. Now, I will say, when they're hot and salty, they are the best things ever. When they are cold, they are the best shoestrings you've ever tried, right? So they have terrific French fries, but they also have great vanilla ice cream. When their ice cream machine is working. It is great. It is great. I have to put that caveat out there. So one day, my kids and I are coming back from a fair, and I said, okay, we're going to have to be in LA traffic for a long time. Let's stop at McDonald's and get an ice cream cone. And I thought, okay, it's illegal to talk on the phone and drive, but I can lick and drive through LA traffic. I can do that. That's not a problem. So we're going to stop at McDonald's. I'm going to get an ice cream cone. So we go in, and my son gets a McFlurry, and my daughter gets an ice cream cone. And when I'm walking up to get my ice cream cone, they push toward me a cup with the cone upside down in it, dripping off the sides. And I said, in my eloquent speech, "What's that?" And they said, "Oh, well, the machine's not working very well, and so I'm sorry, it's a little drippy, so we put it in the cup." And I said, "Oh, well, you probably don't understand, but I need to have the cone in my hand so I can lick and drive." And she said, "Frank, this lady doesn't want her ice cream. Can you give her back her money?" And I said, no, let's not get out of control here. I want the ice cream. I just want it in a cone. And she said, "Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. This is all we can do." And she pushed the cup toward me. She said, "Is there anything else I can get you?" And I said, "An ice cream cone." Right? Wouldn't you have said that? Well, I ended up leaving McDonald's with this cup of drippy ice cream, and all the way to the car, I'm just like, that customer service. Well, wait until I get on Yelp, and all this kind of stuff, and just grumbling and snapping at my kids as I'm buckling them in, and I put it in the cup holder, and I just stopped. And I said, "Is this it, Faith? Is this all it takes to ruin your day? I mean, this woman's willing to get burnt at the stake, but give her a drippy ice cream and that's it. The whole day is ruined. My life is ruined because of this drippy ice cream." And I'm telling you, I had that moment where I thought, it's got to take more than that to ruin my spirit, to lose my testimony, to make me treat people wrong. It has to take more, here's my visual, than drippy ice cream to ruin that. So this afternoon, I want to talk to you about something I call drippy ice cream days. Let's have a word of prayer, and then we're going to get into our scripture. Heavenly Father, I pray you'll bless this last session of this great conference. Thank you for the great spirit. Thank you for Mrs. Walker and Jan Baker and all the wonderful ladies here that have hosted us, and what a wonderful job they've done. Speak to our hearts one last time before we leave. Help us to leave a little bit different. In Jesus' name, amen. If you have your Bibles, would you turn with me to Proverbs 25? Are you there? I had a bookmark in mine. Proverbs 25. I want you to see this because we're actually going to read it together. Oops, there it is. Proverbs 25. We're talking about drippy ice cream days. And even if you haven't quite got it yet, I can guarantee you've had some. Proverbs 25 and verse number 28, the very last verse in Proverbs 25. I'm going to read it once, and then you read it with me the second time. It says, "He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls." Read with me. Ready? Begin. "He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls." To have no rule over your spirit means to have no control. And it gives the visual of a biblical city whose walls of protection are broken down. There comes danger, there comes the enemy, there comes insecurity, and not quite knowing if you're safe or not. This feeling of a loss of control. When we don't control our spirit, the results are the same. There's a lot of insecurity. We can get very snappy. There is danger. The enemy has a place in our lives because we have no control over our spirit. And I don't know if you saw that in the verse, but it says, he that hath no rule over his own spirit. That's all God expects from us, is for us to control our own spirit. I did a study in the book of Nehemiah recently, and God had told Nehemiah to rebuild the walls in the city, and everybody said, it's impossible. It's too hard. You can't do it. But you know what Nehemiah did? He did it. He rebuilt the walls. And I'm thinking that sometimes it does feel like it's impossible to control our spirit. It's just impossible. But if God has told us to do something, it has to be possible. It might be hard, and it might be hard work, but it has to be possible to control our spirit. Drippy ice cream days are very common. Now, we will all have big trials in our life, some bigger than others. We will all have big trials, but it's not every day we have the big trial. And we'll hear messages on how to go through big trials, and some people go through big trials very well. But drippy ice cream days can come every day. They come very often. A chance to lose control of our spirit is very common. We brought our kids to Disneyland one time. And when we came back, I asked our son, tell me your 5 favorite rides. And he said, can I tell you the 5 I hated? I thought, what a pessimist. What a pessimist. I told our other son, there is no day that is all good, not even your birthday. But there's no day that is all bad. We have such a mix every day, some good and some bad. But what are you going to look at? We have to keep a tight leash on our spirits. Just like my little dog, I've got to hold on to him as I am keeping him in control. There are days when our spirit wants to run off the path and get out of control, and we have to say, heel, stay here. We've got to take control of it. As soon as our spirit strays, we can't just let it go and, roam free the rest of the day. We've got to take control of it. Have you had a drippy ice cream day? Let me tell you this morning, I got my little travel Tresemme hairspray out, and it was full, and I went to squirt it, and nothing came out. And my thin little hair, the curls are like, that's it, we're about to leave. You've got 5 minutes, and we're leaving. And I was squirting that, and you know what I said? I said, that's what I get for teaching a lesson like this. Because God will give me illustrations. And I'm like, Lord, I have lots of illustrations already. I don't need any more. So I'm standing there thinking, you will be fine, even if you have to go with flat hair. But I text Miss Molly, who was in the room right next to us, and I said, do you have any hairspray? And she said, yeah, so I got it. Miss Molly, what is the name of your hairspray? You don't remember, because I wrote it down. The name of her hairspray is Sexy Hair. And so yeah, my conscience was really pricked. I thought, how can I go into this conference with sexy hair? But here I am. Drippy ice cream days. Okay, here's 2 words. Who was that? What was that? Amy? First you get a faith tattoo last night, and then, what is that? Cackling. All right. Potty training. Those 2 words come to mind when I think of drippy ice cream days. People say, well, you knew what you were getting when you had kids. No, I didn't. I didn't know that they would use the restroom in the bathtub. I didn't know this. I was not prepared for that. There's something even scarier than potty training. It's called teenagers. Look, we have worked actively with teenagers for 17 years. And so when we were going to have our own living, mouth-breathing teenager in our home, I thought, this is going to be easy. You know what? It's not easy. It's a little different. You know, he'll get home from school. Titus, how was your day? What was that? I don't speak Wookiee. It can be hard. There can be parts of the day that just irk you, and your spirit gets out of control. One Saturday evening, I stayed up late to make 2 batches of chocolate chip cookies with Reese's chips in it. Have you tried this? Very, very good. So I made 2 batches of them for my Sunday school class for the next day, my teen girls. We got out to the car Sunday morning. It's always Sunday morning, isn't it? Everything that can go wrong, it is Sunday morning. And I'm buckling up my baby in the car seat, and I put the cookies on top of the car so that I can buckle her. And you know what happened? I'm driving out of the driveway, and the cookies just all over the road. It is so hard when your day starts like that to recover, to have a good spirit. This last week, my daughter Kelly was running in the house. She was just running into different walls. I don't know what she was doing, but she ran into the dishwasher, and she got a big black eye. Here, left one. Big black eye. The next morning at recess, my other daughter Zoe got hit with a baseball in the same eye. Here they are, matching black eyes, 12 hours apart. Unreal. These things happen, those drippy ice cream days. Well, one week, you would have thought we had a power outage in our home because our microwave stopped working. The next day, our vacuum stopped working. And the next day, our iron stopped working. Everything just stopped working in the same week. And I thought, this really disrupts my life. So I started thinking, okay, I'm going to be spiritual about this. Who has suffered more than I have? You know, you think, right? You're trying to think, like, I'm sure there's someone out there, and I was racking my brain. I couldn't think of anyone. And then I thought, Job. Good old Job. What would we do without Job? Let me, honestly, what would we do if there was no one who had it worse than us? That would be hard. Well, I think about poor Job. I'm sure he was in the middle of his trial, and he's thinking, who has had it worse than me? Oh, yeah, Job. Oh, wait, I am Job. He could literally look around and think, no one in history has had it worse than me. Dude, Job didn't want to be Job. He didn't want to be the guy, but someone has to be Job, right? Someone has to be the one. So thankfully, I thought of Job. Well then, ladies, my dishwasher stopped working. And I thought, I know Job has had it bad, but you never read that his dishwasher broke. You don't even read that. So now I couldn't think of anyone who had it worse than me. So we're walking around on dirty carpet, eating cold food off of dirty plates, wearing wrinkled clothes. We were a mess. I felt like we were back in the dark ages. And you might come up with a weird idea that I could have washed the dishes by hands, but ladies, I don't wash my clothes by hands, so I'm not washing my dishes by hands, okay? We are in 2023, and I will have my dishwasher. So the dishes were piling up, and our paper plates were running out. It was a mess. It really was. I am being facetious. I really am. I know complaining about luxury electronics breaking is very petty. I understand that. But do you know sometimes that is all it takes to derail us? It's all it takes, just some inconvenience that just makes us, what am I going to do now? And it's just, our spirit is out of control because of petty things. Not big trials, drippy ice cream. Those are drippy ice cream days. A day can start off this way when it starts stressful. Do you ever wake up late? That can put you into a terrible mood or being rushed. One thing I have learned about children, you cannot rush them when they're eating or pooping. They are not going to eat faster. They are not going to poop faster. They are not. Just sit on the couch and read the Christian Womanhood and wait. That's all you can do. I have tried rushing them, ladies, and you just can't, okay? You just can't, and it's really not fair for the poor child. But sometimes those things that you are rushed and you're late and this, and your spirit's out of control. I don't know about you, but I start snapping at people when my spirit is out of control. It's hard not to. Our spirit, we can have drippy ice cream days when we put too much pressure on certain days, like Christmas and vacations and birthdays. I don't know if it's because they don't come around a lot or we spend so much money on them, but we have great expectations. And because we do, the littlest thing can ruin it. I have ruined vacations before because I couldn't control my spirit. I have gone to bed on Christmas night crying because someone ruined Christmas. I let someone ruin Christmas because of some petty thing. We can put a lot of pressure on those days, and then it just blows up. What does it mean to control your spirit? It means deciding that what is going on around you doesn't get to control your spirit for you. Global warming is not going to control my spirit for me. LA traffic sometimes controls my spirit for me, but it's not supposed to. Bills and politics and weather. The sky is crying, so I am crying. No. We can't let those things control our spirit. We are to rule our own spirit. It's our responsibility. It's deciding that though others are living in the flesh, I am still going to control my spirit. Sometimes we can have a drippy ice cream day because of what someone says or what someone did, and all their actions we're letting it affect us. Years ago, my mom got an anonymous text message. You know those people that just have so much courage that they will write you an anonymous letter or an anonymous text and let you know how they feel about you? What courage, right? So she texted my mom, and it was a dirty, mean, cruel text message. This person was living in the flesh. And my mom had a decision: is she going to live in the flesh right back, or is she going to control her spirit? And so my mom texted back and said, "Did God tell you to say that?" And that girl didn't text back again. We have a decision. No matter what people do or say to us, we can still control our spirit. We have a choice. It's hard. It's very hard. But it is possible. And it's deciding to take a drippy ice cream day and turn it around. Maybe it starts off bad. Maybe it has a moment. It doesn't have to continue that way. We have a lot of traditions in our home. My children have this thing of, if we do something once, it's as if we took a blood oath to do it for forevermore into eternity. It is now a tradition. And so we have so many traditions in our homes now because of that. But my favorite is at Christmas time. It's in the evening, we get Starbucks drinks, and we go and walk down decorated streets looking at the decorations, because the little kids in the back of the van can't see very well. But walking up close, we do a scavenger hunt. We're looking for all these fun things. They love it. And it's my personal favorite tradition, so lots of pressure for it to go right. So one year, we all pile out, and we had just picked the wrong night. It was cold and windy. Half the decorations were flopped over or not plugged in. It wasn't good. But I was like, no, we're going to have a great spirit, and we have our Starbucks, and we are ready to go. And I was, going to be the spirit maker. And so because I was in a rush and we wanted to get going, I put on my little boy's jacket and zipped it up, and it went, zipped up half his neck. And because he's in pain, he snaps at me, right? And when he snapped at me, I snapped back at him. Then he started crying, and then I started crying. And there we are out on the cold streets with Christmas decorations all up, crying. And I thought, it's ruined. Just get back in the van and go home. It's just ruined. The whole night's ruined. But I didn't want it to be ruined. I would like to have not ruined another thing. So I told my husband, I said, please help me. And he said, okay, you go stand over there and get yourself together, and I will make sure my son's neck is okay. So I'm standing over here crying and praying like, okay, Lord, please. And he's over there, and so I come back, and I apologize to little Titus, and I'm so sorry, Mommy should not have said this, Mommy should not have done this, and we're talking, and I said, okay, can we still have a good night? You know what we did, though? We flipped it around. I was kind of in awe that we had, because it was a great victory. But I realized you can do it. You can take a beat, and you can turn the drippy ice cream day around. You can change it. It doesn't have to keep going that way. There have been times when I've been on dates with my hubby, which are very rare, I should say. We have no relatives living nearby, which means no free babysitting. And so they're rare. And sometimes I will ruin it because I will let the littlest thing tick me off, and I have ruined it. I have done this so many times. I don't want to be that person anymore. Sometimes the first step, I'll tell my husband, I just don't want to be mad anymore. Help me not to be mad. I don't want to be mad anymore. And that first step of just saying, let's fix this, it helps us fix it. Just verbalizing it. I don't want to be mad anymore. That might be nice. Every single day of our life, we have to work at controlling our spirit. It's easy on Sundays in God's house, but we've got to do it on Mondays in our house. Every single day. We don't get a day off. The cities in the Bible, I don't think they ever just left open the gates to get a nice breeze in. I don't think they ever did that. We don't go to bed with our doors open. We're always secure. We're always trying to keep control over that home. We don't get a day off. Controlling our spirit is every day. When we're sick, when the kids are sick, when we're hot and cranky, and all of the rest, we don't get a day off controlling our spirit. I remember telling Eli, I said, whatever I do when I'm PMSing doesn't count. 14 days out of the month doesn't count. And he said, oh, is that what you tell your teen girl Sunday school class? And I don't backpedal. So I said, yeah, that's exactly what I tell my teen girls. 14 days out of the month, it doesn't count. Of course they count. But we act like they don't, right? We act like they don't. We think we can just say whatever we want. But we have to control our spirit. We decide how to react. Here's the story, ladies. I was a teenager at the mall in Louisiana. That part is not relevant, but that's where I was. I was in Louisiana. And I was standing in line at Wetzel's Pretzels. If you think McDonald's has good fries, check out Wetzel's Pretzels lemonade. It is spot on. So I was in line, Wetzel's Pretzels, gonna get a lemonade. There was a guy standing behind me. I was probably about 17. He was probably in his 20s. He's standing behind me. And I'm standing in line, kind of looking at the menu, looking around. When I feel a distinct pinch on my backside. And I thought, that cannot be right. That cannot be right. And I kind of turned around a little bit, and the guy's standing like nothing happened, like he hadn't done anything. And I was just flush with embarrassment. And I was standing there in the public mall, and I thought, no, I don't think that happened. Just staying there, we're moving up a little bit in the line, and I felt it again, a distinct pinch. And this time, I was just angry. And I turned around and looked, and he was just looking up at the menu, pretending like he hadn't done anything. And I thought, does he think I'm not going to make a scene because we're in the middle of this mall? Because I'm about to make a scene right here in the middle of this mall. And I thought, that's it. He does it again. He does it again. I'm going to turn around and slap his face. So I had a ring, had a big jewel on it, and I turned it this way. Because if you slap with the ring turned, it makes, you know what I'm saying? Like, it hurts worse. So I was fixing my ring, and I was just like, I almost want you to do it. I almost want you to, because someone needs to teach you a lesson. Just do it again. And he did it again. Distinct pinch, and so I turned on my heel and I raised my hands, and that's when I realized he had a garment bag over his arm with a metal hanger sticking out. And every time he shifted up in line, it got me. And I had been like this. I thought, that guy minding his own business, and all of a sudden this girl turns around and smacks him silly. How would I explain that? Do you know, sometimes in situations we think we have all the facts, don't we? And we are ready to react. Sometimes things in life happen and we think, this is how I'm going to react, blah, blah, blah. Take a second and think, okay, what I do next, is it going to ruin my testimony? What is the repercussions going to be if I am acting this way? We have a choice in how we react to the things thrown at us in life. It needs to hit us that the drippy ice cream days are the ones where we are being tested. And we all went to school. You go to school and you learn things. And then you take a test to see, did you really learn the things? Well, us as Christians, we learn a lot of things. We're sitting in church, we're reading our Bible, we're learning and learning and learning, and then a test comes by to see, did you really learn the things that God has been trying to teach you? Job said, when he hath tried me, that means tested me, I shall come forth as gold. And the drippy ice cream days is God handing us a test. Are you learning all the stuff that I'm teaching? How you doing? Getting a good grade? We are being tested when we have these type of days. Let me tell you where I'm at right now. I am really good at ruining a situation and then fixing it again. And one day I will ruin less situations. But we're all still growing. We're all still growing. And that should be our goal. So how do you handle these days? 3 very, very quick points. First, with humility. When you mess up, fess up. Loretta Walker has taught me so much about apologizing to your little children. And can I tell you, it's humiliating trying to apologize to your 4-year-old. It's humiliating. It is awful trying to apologize to your teenager for your attitude when they still have their attitude. Know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm not sorry. That's what I want to say sometimes. It's hard. But if you snapped, if you said the thing, you got to fess up. And you can't just fess up to God. No. You have to fess up to the person. So it takes humility to fix these situations. But we are setting an example for others to see, oh, you should apologize. How about this one? How do you handle these? You handle them again and again. Again and again. A just man falleth how many times? But he riseth up again. He gets back up again. So you have a rough morning, you got to make it a great afternoon. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Check yourself. Don't let the whole day be out of control. Learn to reset it. Learn to reset that day. And then number 3, perspective. It's only ice cream. We are not talking about big problems. I'm not putting down big problems. That's not the subject today. We're talking about ice cream. And it's got to take more than this to ruin our day and to lose control of our spirit. How many women in churches are at odds over drippy ice cream? Stuff that does not matter. Women are at odds. Families are at odds. Moms and their kids, husbands and wives are at odds over stuff that is ice cream. Perspective. One time, my Keurig broke, and I mean, a coffee shortage is a tragedy in our home, okay? So my Keurig broke, and I got a little sticky note, and I wrote, out of order with a sad face. And I stuck it on the Keurig, and then of course it didn't happen unless you take a picture and post it online, right? So I took a picture of my broken Keurig with my little sign, and I put it on Instagram, and I said, if this doesn't make you cry, I don't know what will. There's nothing wrong with saying that. It was funny, and I'm hilarious. But later on, as I was, checking my post to see how many likes I had gotten, in my feed was my friend whose little baby had died a year ago, and she had posted a picture of his tombstone and this beautiful testimony. And I scroll past hers, and I get to mine. If this doesn't make you cry, I don't know what will. And I just thought, right? There was nothing wrong with my post. My friend liked my post. There was nothing wrong with that. But there would be something wrong if I truly felt like this wasn't the biggest issue ever. And I didn't look around and see, no, there's bigger issues out there, and I need to get over my petty issues so I can love people better. There's something wrong with that. Perspective. Perspective. Is the stuff that is controlling our spirit ice cream? It's got to take more than that. It's got to take more. What do your days normally look like? Does your spirit run down the street like an out-of-control dog? What does it take to ruin your days? Let's start living our Christian lives spirit-controlled. Let's have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much that not only do you tell us to control our spirit, you give us your word, you give us your love, you give us prayer, you give us the church family, you give us friends, so many things that we can use to make our lives happier. I pray that we will stop focusing on the drippy ice cream that happens throughout our days, and that we will control our